Johnny Depp, Amber Heard defamation trial. This is the time that we take your questions on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, email. Get your questions to us, and we will answer them right now. I'm here with Gene Rossi. I'm here with Dina Dahl, Catherine Luzardo. We're getting some great questions from our viewers right now. And by the way, as soon as we get a feed back into that courtroom with rebuttal closing arguments, we will jump live. Catherine Luzardo, I have a question coming in from Facebook. This is from Mary M. DiGastino. When Mr. Rottenborn, who is representing Amber Heard, had said, if Johnny Depp is found abusing her one time, she wins, he said that several times. Do you think that the jury really likes that when people do that? And let me also throw in, what do you think about that comment that if the jury believes one instance of abuse, she wins?
Yeah.
It's true by law that if the jury finds that Johnny Depp committed even one abuse, whether it's emotional, psychological, or physical abuse, that Johnny Depp loses his defamation case because it would be true. Again, the statement of domestic abuse has to be false in terms of
Which
him.
is why they've thrown so much mud, hoping that just one will stick.
Argument here. But again, there's that question as to whether or not Johnny Depp wins or loses legally with his defamation claim. Does that matter in the scheme of things for Johnny Depp? And with
I think
his
it does.
Testimony
to be honest,
yesterday, I think the answer is no. That
I think
it doesn't matter for him.
I think it's more important for us and the
the
general population of the world, or at least Western countries, that he wins than it is for him personally. I think he's already cleared his name.
Jury, you just find one instance of abuse.
But we need to know that there's justice in the fucking Western world still. That people can't fucking do this to people.
We're going to take more of your questions, but to give you an idea of what happened with Amber Heard's side, here's a portion of her side's closing argument from earlier today.
Really? We're going to do this?
But we've been looking forward to being able to explain to you what
I'm not listening to this bullshit again.
Because I imagine
think I got a minute or two I can fast forward.
Unclear.
Boop. Laters. All right. Come on. Where are we at? Bruh, come on, bruh. Oh, right. Fucking...
Catherine Luzardo, we're getting a number of people's questions about the time limits in this case. This is from I Am Tweak on Twitch. What's the purpose of the time limit, and why has it been prescribed? I'm even more curious after hearing you mention this isn't common, because I haven't seen it often either. And with Amber's team to have wasted most of it through the whole trial.
Because they've paid. They've paid.
Yes, it is not common
for the
to
time
see
of the
this
court.
type of time limit. We've seen time limits in opening statements or closing statements to keep them short, but not as to the entire trial. But you know what's interesting is yesterday when the judge and the lawyers were talking about the jury instruction, she actually made a comment about the time limit. She said, if you create a circle and ask people to just stay within that circle, they will put everything in that circle, which I think she was talking about the time limit, and they were talking about the time limit. That if she puts a time limit, they will get everything in within that time limit. That's very important. So that's Judge Esparano's strategy, and I think it
stops them
worked.
flooding the jury with bullshit.
They have used so much of their time, and I think they did not use it wisely in some of the witnesses that wasn't really that helpful, or with the objections and a lot of the speaking objections that they made. Because I think those also count for their time, if I'm not mistaken.
Couldn't agree
that's
more.
what's kind of surprising about it. We don't usually see that.
Could
we
not
don't really
agree
see it in
more.
the criminal trials that we cover here on Law and Crime. Gene, you have a fan from the Gaming Fox Z2 on Twitch.
More.
I love the tie. It looks good on you. Good sir from Australia. Everyone is asking Gene today. He is more famous than you today, meaning more famous than me. Gene is more famous than all of us, so I'm not surprised by that.
Can I quote you on?
But I do have a question for you. Have a question for you. This is from Obi Carbs 6 from Twitch. How important are these closing statements?
Why did we have a countdown to this?
How important are these closing arguments and rebuttals?
Come on.
Does the jury get to utilize all the evidence on their own time when not in the...
No, I'm live with it.
Painting, the tiles, if you will, that you're going to give to the jury. And every minute of every day of trial has to go to that final mosaic. Closing arguments are when you present that mosaic. And all 4 of them have done an outstanding job because it's the last impression, the last painting you're giving that jury. They take those paintings into the jury deliberation room,
when it comes
and they
to
use the evidence and say which painting matches the evidence. I love closings. I love them.
Primacy and recency, it's going to be the last thing the jury hears before they go into the deliberations. That's why today is so important. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll take more of your questions. Stay with us.
So, all right, while they're doing that, because I reckon they're just going to take more questions when they come back. So let's just not focus too much on that. Let's get some other stuff up. Let's have a look at some stuff that's happened. It's happened so far. All right. What are a few of the key moments that have happened in this case? Let's think about that. I think some of the, well, one of the biggest things has been when so instead of waiting for that shit, we're gonna watch some highlights. All of these are too long. Just a minute. Yeah, let's watch this one instead, hey?
Rings on every finger, doesn't he, Miss Heard?
That's my experience, yes.
And they're not delicate rings, are they?
No, they are not.
Every one of his fingers is adorned, your words, big, chunky rings. Isn't that right?
Isn't
That's
that
my
right?
experience of him.
That
And
is.
Mr. Depp is always wearing rings, right, Miss Heard?
That's my experience of him.
That
Can you
is.
please pull up Defendant's Exhibit
That is an accurate
170A,
experience of him.
which is already in evidence, Your Honor. You testified that this is the picture you took after that incident, right, Miss Heard?
Yes, that was one where he grabbed me.
And hit you in the face so many times that you don't remember. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
And there's no injuries to your face in this picture, are there?
Not that
No.
this picture shows.
No, not
And there's
that.
no medical
picture
records
shows.
reflecting that you sought treatment after this alleged incident either.
I did not seek medical treatment at this time.
No, you did not.
So there's no medical records reflecting any injuries to your face after he hit you several times,
I did not need to go to the doctor at the time.
despite hitting you several times that you lost count with rings on on his face.
To tell you the
That's
truth.
Sorry.
correct.
You testify that Mr. Depp, quote, whacked you in the face.
That's correct.
And you went to the bathroom after that, right?
I did.
And then, according to your testimony, when you came out of the bathroom, Jerry Judge, Mr. Depp's security guard, who's passed away, pointed out that your nose was bleeding, right?
He did that in the hallway.
And you said you hadn't known that your nose was bleeding until Jerry Judge pointed it out to you?
Yes, that's correct. I was unaware until he brought it up to me. I didn't see it when I was in the bathroom, but I wasn't looking.
So it's your testimony that you went
You
into
went
the
to the bathroom.
and didn't look in the mirror, which I assume was in the bathroom, to notice that your nose was bleeding?
That's not why I went into the bathroom.
Oh,
I
okay,
went
mate.
into the bathroom crying. I don't even know if I paid attention to the mirror.
This is a picture of you and Mr. Depp in Russia, correct?
That's correct.
Seems legit,
I'm going
right?
to move to admit.
All right, no objection. 1248 in evidence. You can publish.
And this is you and Mr. Depp in Russia for the Lone Ranger premiere, correct?
It was a dinner function, I believe, in promotion of the movie. Wasn't the premiere, if I recall.
You don't have any visible injuries to your face, do you?
None that you can see.
None that you can see.
Let's look at Plaintiff's Exhibit
That
1249.
answer is absolutely priceless. None that you can see. Condescending as fuck.
This is a picture of you, isn't it right?
That's correct.
I'm going to move to Exhibit admit Exhibit 1249.
All right, 1249 in evidence.
This is also a picture
Battered
from when you were
as
in
fuck.
Russia for the Lone Ranger.
Battered
premiere,
fish,
right?
mate. Flappy
correct.
fish.
And you have no visible injuries to your
That's
face. do
battered
you?
fish,
None
apparently.
that you can see.
None that you can see.
Even though Mr. Depp whacked you in the face so hard that your nose bled?
He did.
While
See, I've had a
wearing
broken nose.
Chunky big
See that?
rings, right?
I've had a broken nose. Just
That's
the one
correct.
time.
The picture
Look
of
at
you,
that.
Miss Heard,
Yes, it is.
at that event,
Yes, it is.
the night after the Met Gala,
You can.
Yes, it is.
the night after Mr.
Her nose
Depp
has
allegedly
never been
broke your
broken.
nose.
Ever.
I'm not sure if it was broken, for the record, but
I was
you
in
should see what it
hospital. I had
looked like
surgery.
underneath the
I had
makeup.
maxillofacial surgeons.
He whacked you so hard in the face
Fix
that you
my
thought
nose.
you had broken your nose.
Exactly.
Right.
Hmm.
Permission to admit this photograph.
All right, 1252 in evidence.
I'd like to submit her statement as evidence that she knows or thinks
This is a picture of you, Mr.
Stuff
Depp,
that
and
is-
Don Rickles, right?
completely
That is
incorrect.
Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1253. This is another picture from
All
that
right, let's
evening,
switch
right,
back
mister?
to. Let's switch back to
Yes,
these
it is.
guys because they look like they might be talking about something interesting.
Those sentences have to be stricken from the transcript. They're almost the same. They're like fraternal twins. They accomplish the same thing, but they're just a little bit different.
Yeah, and you know they're going to get an instruction that not to take that into consideration. Well, obviously the evidence that comes in, they're supposed to, but they're not to take anything away from the stricken, not to use it against the party. All right, so I have a question for Catherine Lizardo. This is from James Moriarty on YouTube. By the way, isn't that like a Sherlock Holmes villain? Anyway, James Moriarty. To Catherine Lizardo. Can the jury really take all the text allegedly by Johnny Depp as a reliable evidence? I mean, in the closing arguments, that's all Rottenborn talked about mostly.
Correct.
They can, and it is evidence. We saw certain texts that were admitted into evidence, so they have to take that into consideration. Now, whether or not
They have to consider it. They
will
don't
solely
have to
rely
see
on
it as
that.
evidence.
Of course, they won't, because there's a lot of evidence here. There's video testimony, deposition testimony, text messages. Those are documents that you can rely as evidence. Now, Rottenborn actually used those text messages a lot because it's more visual and we see it. But I have to point out, he used the same text message that was at issue yesterday, where Johnny Depp said that he didn't write that. But yeah, I believe Anjanette also discussed that yesterday, that it doesn't seem like that's something that came from Johnny Depp, that it was actually a third person in that text thread. So that was interesting.
Yeah, Dina, this is a
They're just
question that
trying
we've
to
gotten
cast
a lot
dirt.
this past
That's
week
all
as we're
it
coming
is.
to the conclusion of the case.
They're
This is from
They're all
Amanda
in.
Canning on YouTube. Can either of them appeal after the verdict?
Absolutely, and they most likely will. You know, if they lose the case and end up having to owe the person money, they can appeal the verdict. And we know that a lot of the objections, especially,
fair.
I don't know if you noticed, but the jury instructions yesterday, one of the objections that Depp's attorney really wanted to make is, I believe they wanted the instruction to say that the statement had to be false or that its implication had to be false, which is very important. If he loses that case, it could be on that point. And she said, yes, don't worry, we have that on the record. The reason why he wanted it on the record is that would be a strong issue on appeal. So definitely if somebody loses, they will most likely appeal.
Great question, important question. All right, Gene, I know
The
we're signing you off
implication
very soon, so I want to
only
get one
needs
more
to
to
be
you from
false.
Twitch. Opalaria wasn't saying
That's
the jury's
case
decision
one.
has an effect on the First Amendment misleading and possibly scaring the
Mhm.
jury into
Yep.
siding with Amber. The
Correct.
First Amendment isn't relevant to defamation or suits between
Correct.
individuals, only the government. You have about a
That's
minute.
what I thought.
I respectfully disagree. This case is in part on the First Amendment. I think Mr. Rottenborn did a very good job that under Virginia law, if you are exercising your First Amendment right about a public policy issue, and
But
you
you're
don't have
not
actual
allowed to
malice,
lie.
you
That's
have
what
immunity from any
defamation
lawsuit.
is.
So in part, I respectfully disagree.
All right, well, here's what we're going to do. So, Gene, I know we have to sign you off. We can't thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. But we're bringing in Anjanette Levy, who was in the courtroom today. So if you have any questions about what that atmosphere looked like, maybe what the jurors' reactions are, throw those questions in. We're still going to do the live Q&A session. Catherine Luzardo, Dina Dahl are going to stay with me. We're going to remain in this parking garage where we can stay safe. Stay with us here on Law and Crime. We'll take a very quick break, and we'll get to more of your questions on the other side. We'll be right back, right after this.
All right, this is obviously going to go on for a bit, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna shut off again, and I'll be back. All right, laters.